everybody gonna be saying, man, I'm being Roy Jones Jr. I'm coming out like Roy. Y'all must have forgot.
The current Town 4-pound boxing champion, Terence Crawford, said something brave on his social media during a live session that shocked everyone in the fighting community.
Nah, I can't rap though, y'all. I always been a fighter. I play sports though. I play any sport.
In a recent interview, Terence Crawford talked about how much he wants to fight Canelo Alvarez and how important it would be as a time that would define his career. Crawford said that the fight was the best in modern boxing, and he stressed how important it was for him and for the sport as a whole.
Well, I've been wanting to fight, I feel as if that's a legacy fight. I feel as if, this is the biggest fight in boxing today. I feel like this fight right here is like the last of the Mohicans. We both coming in an era where Floyd Mayweather was #1 pound for pound, Showtime, and HBO era, that type.
Although Crawford is smaller than Canelo Alvarez, he knew that the bout was very important considering their differences in size. The fight was hard, but Crawford didn't give up.
You got two guys, top 3, pound for pound, going head to head with each other, and I understand, Canelo is bigger than me and whatnot, but I'm up for the challenge.
People asked Crawford what he was scared of with Canelo. He recognized the possible obstacles given by Canelo's size and hitting strength, citing his extensive experience dealing with larger opponents throughout his career. I really think his striking strength and physical bulk are the only things I should be worried about, Crawford said, showing that he was thinking about the battle analytically. He stayed hopeful and open-minded about how the fight might go, but who knows? We don't know how I'll handle his punching power or size once we get in the ring, he added. Reflecting on his previous experiences, he stated, "I've been fighting bigger guys my entire life, so I'm very familiar with that aspect of the game." Crawford thought that a fight with Canelo Alvarez would be an interesting mix of different traits and skills. He looked forward to learning more about the physical and stylistic details of the fight. Crawford noticed their parallels and variances, reflecting on the balance of opposing skills that each boxers would bring to the arena.
A very intriguing fight. Canelo and me is the same height. I got longer reach than Canelo. I'm faster than Canelo. But Canelo is bigger than me. He's stronger than me. So we both giving away something, but we both gaining something at the same time.
Additionally, Saudi Arabian royal His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh played a critical part in trying to bring this mega fight to fruition.
You want the nunches?
Tell him we going for Canelo next.
Yes. Let's go. Canelo, come on.
During Crawford's impressive win against Israel Madrimov on 150 for PBS, Al-Sheikh approached Eddie Hearn with the idea of starting discussions with Canelo's side. His goal was to host this fight as part of Saudi Arabia's growing involvement in combat sports. Canelo, who earlier denied to comment on Turkey's willingness to fight, has now formally inked a 3-bout deal with him. Al-Sheikh.
Tonight, Terence Crawford was with Turki Al-Sheikh at the other event across town. Put out an open challenge to you on the internet with Turki Al-Sheikh calling you out. What's your response to Terence Crawford's call out tonight?
No comment.
During an interview with Fight Hype, Hearn, who has long worked closely with Canelo, described the Mexican champion's reluctance. "I would be quite surprised if that fight happens." Eddie Hearn acknowledged Canelo Alvarez's unwillingness to commit to a possible fight with Terence Crawford, despite strong interest from Saudi Arabia. Hearn said that His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh had been vigorously pushing the bout, but Canelo's passion looked missing.
His Excellency has been pushing that fight. It didn't seem like it was something that Canelo was really up for, to be honest.
Eddie Hearn addressed Canelo Alvarez's doubts about fighting Terence Crawford, emphasizing Canelo's worrying that such a win would not be properly recognized. Canelo apparently thought that naysayers would disregard Crawford's achievement because she had moved up multiple weight classes from 150 for pounds. He stated, "When I've spoken with Canelo about that fight before, I believe his feeling is that if I beat Crawford Everyone will say I beat 154. Canelo likes to face opponents that engage in straight, aggressive fights rather than elusive competitors who rely on movement. According to Hearn, I don't think he wants to be fighting men who are always moving. He wants people who come to fight. And Crawford can't really come to fight like that in that fight because he has a huge size disadvantage and can't stand in front of him. Canelo Alvarez, the reigning undisputed super middleweight champion, has retained his supremacy at 168 pounds. In 2023, he defeated Jaime Munguia and Edgar Berlanga, reinforcing his place as a top-tier fighter who wants opponents with similar physique and fighting style. Canelo prioritizes bouts that coincide with his goals and maximize cash rewards.
Boxing, I take 80% of everything. Sir, if you take a soda in the arena, I need to ask him. It's different. I know in his mind he thinks he can do whatever he wants because he's very talented fighter. He's a very good fighter. I like how he fights, but that's why there are weight classes. And he knows.
This includes a $150 million demand for a bout against David Benavidez, another strong contender in his class. Such moves show Canelo's preference for profitable, legacy-building fights over riskier efforts like facing a smaller Crawford.
Beterbiev on February 22nd. Canelo could fight Bivol for the undisputed light heavyweight world championship. There's a fight. Charlo. People talk about Williams Scott. Back to the undisputed. But Canelo will fight anyone. But I don't see a lot of options for him right now. So maybe the Crawford fight is in play. If it happens, as good as Terence Crawford is, I just think he's too big for him.
Eddie Hearn outlined the difficulties in bringing the Canelo vs. Crawford fight to fruition before shifting his emphasis to Canelo's potential alternative matches. He stated that, while fans may want Canelo to fight David Benavidez, he does not see it happening. Canelo reportedly demanded a staggering $150 million for a fight with Benavidez, which is unlikely to be met.
I don't think that fight will happen, but then when you think about it, what are the options for Canelo Alvarez?
Benavidez.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen either. He's put his flag in the sand, hasn't he? 150 million. I know he takes less, but I just don't see that. He's now up at 175, Benavidez. I don't see him coming back to 60.
Terence Crawford, on the other hand, has made no secret of his goals. Crawford went up to 150 pounds after his sensational 2023 win over Errol Spence, which unified the welterweight division. He defeated Israel Madrimov, showing his willingness to push himself further. Crawford has suggested a desire to fight Canelo at 168 pounds, which would require him to jump to weight classes and suffer considerable physical disadvantages.
When you say, I want Canelo, is there anybody in the camp that would say, you're not ready for this?
That's a big boy. He's strong. That's a conversation. It's not just,
Oh man, you a whoop his ass. Yes man type stuff.
I'm not.
If I'm easy work, I heard him say I'm easy work. If I was easy work, you would take all that money that he's offering you. But yet and still, he want 200 million for Benavidez, and he want 150 million to fight me. So that just lets me know right there that I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to him. I'm a threat to his legacy.
Buddy McGirt raised concern about Crawford entering the weight division. McGirt thinks Crawford should avoid entering the bout at the full 168-pound super middleweight limit. He says that if Crawford weighs 168 pounds come fight night, the extra water retention and weight increase may put him over 175 pounds.
I don't think Crawford should come in at 68. Come in under 68. Because if you come in at 68, right? Yep. By fight night, you're over 175 pounds. Can your body carry that for 12 rounds against a naturally bigger man?
McGirt suggests Crawford weigh in at a lower weight, recommending a more strategic approach to ensure his mobility and stamina throughout the bout. They should come in under 68 and try to get in good shape, whether he is 64 or 65. Before fighting night, I believe Terence is a skilled enough fighter that when he gets in there, he will handle his business, regardless of his weight. According to McGirt, Crawford should weigh slightly less than 168 pounds, ideally around 164 or 165 pounds. He feels Crawford's skill set and versatility will allow him to function effectively, regardless of weight. McGirt thinks Crawford would be better able to retain his speed if he entered the battle at a lighter weight.
That if he stays under 75, he'd do spectacular. But to carry that extra weight, you figure if he comes in 68, just say for instance, fight night he's 75. That's almost 30 pounds more than his normal weight. Yeah, his best weight's 147. So that's 28 more pounds that you got to carry for 12 rounds against a naturally big.
McGirt emphasizes a physical effect that additional weight may have on Crawford. He points out that if Crawford weighs in at 168 pounds and then raises to 175 pounds on fight night, that's a significant rise from his regular fighting weight of 147 pounds.
They both are very good fighters at that level. I don't see 5 or 6 pounds making a big difference.
Right.
Or even 10 pounds. I don't see it making a big difference at all.
Amir Khan, the former world champion, declared that Terence Crawford would defeat Canelo Alvarez. The two met in the ring. Khan, who has faced both boxers in his career, thinks that Crawford's skill set and boxing IQ would give him an advantage in a possible showdown with Canelo.
Crawford could beat him because Crawford is a big 147 fighter and is strong as well, which a lot of people don't give him the credit for. I think that fight, if it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just boxes and be smart, he can win that fight.
He recognized Crawford's great technical skills, speed, and ability to adjust in the ring, which would finally lead to victory.
I think Crawford's a better fighter than Charlo, and he's a smart fighter as well. He switches and everything, so that would be a very good fight.
The planned bout has aroused controversy among boxing experts. Veteran fighter Demetrius Andrade hailed Crawford's skills while acknowledging the significant obstacles he would face. Canelo is a big nasty Wolf who knows how to move, block, and take strong strikes. Andrade shared with Fight Hub TV, "I don't think Crawford can win Canelo, but he can put up a nice fight." Crawford's technical skill and adaptability would surely be on show, but the consensus is that overcoming Canelo's physical advantages would be a difficult job. While the notion of a Crawford-Canelo fight in 2025 persists in the imaginations of fans, the chances of it happening remain remote. Both boxers have alternative options, with Crawford possibly protecting his reputation against welterweight or junior middleweight opponents, and Canelo looking for high-profile fights in the super middleweight class. Greg Hackett stated his desire for a Terence Crawford Canelo Alvarez fight, describing it as a great contest that fans should watch. He said, "I'd like to see it put like that. I believe it is worth watching today." Hackett is upset by the ongoing conjecture and doubts about the fighter's abilities, and he thinks it is time for the fight to take place. He said enough of hearing about what one fighter can't do and wants the two to face off. He calls for action, saying that the fans are ready for the fight and that it is time to stop debating and start making it happen.
I'm tired of people saying what somebody can't do, what they won't be able to do. I say let's go.
Even though Greg is a die-hard Crawford fan who wants this fight, top trainer Robert Garcia recently threw gasoline to the flames of anticipation by stating that he had heard the highly anticipated battle between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez might actually materialize.
I think Crawford is looking at just a huge fight with Canelo, and if he doesn't get it, he might not even fight anymore, because he's told me that before.
Robert Garcia acknowledged that many fans are skeptical of the matchup, particularly given the significant size and weight differences between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. However, Garcia remained optimistic, expressing confidence that Crawford would be able to rise to the challenge and perform at his best in such a high-stakes fight.
I think a fight with Terence Crawford will be big, even though a lot of people think it's a total mismatch. I think Crawford puts up a good fight.
Hackett also mentioned that Canelo had faced opponents who were not exactly in line for a major fight, but he still delivered spectacular results. Canelo pulls rabbits out of hats like a Berlanga. No disrespect to Berlanga, but he was not in line for that fight. But since we're just picking guys, but might as well go next, Hack. It was implying that if Canelo was matched up against less deserving opponents, Crawford should be the next logical option. He felt that Crawford, as one of the finest in the sport, deserved his turn against Canelo, despite the somewhat unorthodox character of certain previous matchups.
One of the best in the world, Canelo is one of the best in the world. Let's make it happen. You know what I mean? Let's do it. Fuck it. I want to see the fight. and Canelo making great money. Why my man Bud can't get none of that money? I mean, give my man Bud some of that bread. I mean,
He expressed dissatisfaction with the boxing industry's tendency to be cheap when it comes to paying great talent like Crawford.
stop being stingy. Y'all being real stingy in this boxing thing right now.
Hackett agreed that both combatants were no longer as young as they once were, but he thought they still had enough energy for a competitive and thrilling bout. They were both in their 30s. They were no longer 20 years old. Of course, they were slowing down, but not to the point where they should stop fighting. Hackett maintained that, while Canelo and Crawford were no longer at their physical peak, they still had the skill and expertise to give a tremendous battle. His opinion was that age should not be an impediment to joining the battle, as both could still put on a spectacular display.
It's just that they not themselves from 10 years ago. Simple. All right, let's make the fight though. Two great fighters. I want to see it. I'm voting for that fight. Crawford versus Canelo, Canelo versus Crawford. Let's make it happen.
Do you think we get the fight?
I hope we get the fight. I don't know.
Finally, Hackett expressed optimism that the fight may take place if all the right parts come together. We must discover if we can cross-promote and make this happen. That's a great bout for boxing. Why not? A fight between Crawford and Canelo would be one of the most momentous events in boxing history, combining great abilities, opposing styles, and unprecedented stakes. However, given the current situation, this fantasy game may never become a reality. Sean Porter, a former welterweight champion and respected boxing pundit, recently voiced his reservations about Canelo Alvarez's likely fight with Terence Crawford, despite the enthusiasm surrounding the contest. Porter voiced doubts about how the fight would go given Canelo's substantial physical advantages over Crawford. The others counter, "No, that's two more weight classes. Once he's touched by Canelo, it's different. I'm worried about him absorbing a Canelo punch over the course of 12 rounds. We know Canelo is going to slow down, so I think he would attempt to start fast and bang on him, breaking him down before he gets later." Porter stressed the size gap as a critical issue, pointing out that Canelo, a natural super middleweight and light heavyweight challenger, would have a significant weight and strength advantage over Crawford, who is usually fought at welterweight. Porter thinks that Crawford, despite being widely recognized as one of the most skilled and adaptable fighters in boxing today, will face a huge difficulty because to the size differential.
You know, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily, where we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo had, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another, you know what I mean? We tried to do that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and we see how that panned out, you know what I mean?
This fight promises to be one of the most anticipated in boxing history, but can Crawford's strategy and abilities be sufficient to overcome Canelo's stature and power? Do you think Crawford can defy the odds and defeat Canelo, or will his weight advantage be too much to overcome? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to get the latest information on this possibility. Blockbuster Showdown.